Hello, everyone. We are so excited to have you all take time out of your day to attend today's webinar, Financial Empowerment for Women. My name is Missy Hoffman, and I'm the Director of Operations for Avenues to Wealth Financial Advisors. I began my career in the financial services industry back in 2005, working for a broker-dealer in Iowa. I am now honored to be able to use that knowledge in working with the wonderful financial advisors here at Avenues to Wealth. And just a little bit of housekeeping to begin with. Everyone is muted, but we do want to hear any questions that you may have during the webinar. So down at the bottom, we have a Q&A section in your Zoom to post your questions along the way. We're also going to have a couple of polls that are going to pop up during the presentation so that we can keep you all engaged. And also it helps us to dive deeper into subjects that really resonate with you. This webinar will be recorded and added to our a2wfinancial.com website. So if there's anyone you feel would benefit from this webinar today, please be sure to let them know. Please stay till the end of the webinars. We have some great offerings that we can provide to you. Now, I would like to turn it over to our fabulous financial advisor, Diane Watson.
Thank you, Missy, and welcome to everyone who is joining us today. Like Missy said, I'm Diane Watson, and I'm a licensed financial advisor and a fiduciary with Avenues to Wealth Financial Advisors. So first, let me share with you why I created this webinar and why the topic is important to me. I know firsthand the challenges that we face as women. I grew up in a single-parent household and watched as we struggled with money. I am the fourth of 6 kids, and my parents divorced when I was 10. The oldest was 14, the youngest was 18 months old, and at the time, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. When my parents divorced, my dad quit his job and then proceeded not to pay child support for the next 2 years. My mom went to work, raised us, and got us all through college. It's probably not a big surprise that my mom did not save much for retirement because she was just trying to survive. I'm extremely proud of my mom and all that she's accomplished, and I'm also inspired by her to help women plan and take control of their financial future so that they don't just have to survive financially, they can prosper. Before I go on, I just want to give a shout out to my team. They're awesome. These are my coworkers at Avenues to Wealth and the people who help inspire me every day. They are also the ones that help put together this webinar. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys. All right, so let's start. Let's start our road to empowerment. As we know, throughout most of human history, women have typically played a more home-centric role in society. However, since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, the family dynamic and the percentage of women in the overall workforce have both changed dramatically. And today, with growing numbers of women holding full-time careers, increasingly in high-level positions, it is critical that women become more educated on how to save, invest, and plan for their futures. So let's start by taking a look at some of the financial challenges that we face as women. All right, first is the income gap because of gender. This has been a longstanding issue faced by working women. The pay gap leaves most women with a lower amount of retirement savings to work with. Parenthood, while wonderful, can also create a financial challenge in modern society. There are still a large number of women that choose the path of motherhood and to be the primary caregivers for their children. And while this responsibility is rewarding in its own right, it often reduces the amount of time and effort a career-oriented woman can devote to work. Another financial challenge is that we tend to outlive men. While a longer lifespan can be a treasure, it also means that retirement savings will need to last longer. Healthcare can also be a challenge. While not always the case, healthcare costs for women are on average higher overall. Another challenge for women is that we tend to struggle more with lack of confidence in investing. Hang on, Missy, are we having trouble with the screen?
No, we're good.
Okay, all right. Another challenge for women is that we tend, like I said, we tend to struggle with self-confidence in investing. Tragically, a large number of retirement age women may suffer from lack of confidence in their financial abilities related to investing and managing assets. The most common root of this issue may simply be a lack of education. And the good news is, it is never too late to learn. Another challenge is that women tend to be more cautious just in general, which also shows up in relation to investments. Studies show that women keep more money in cash than men because they're more risk averse. But studies also show that when women do invest, they tend to do better than men. And the last challenge is that working women have a tendency to retire earlier than men, leaving a deficiency both in total income and potential Social Security income benefits. All right, so now that we've talked about the challenges, Missy's going to put up a poll for us. And I'd like you to take a minute and think about the challenges we just talked about. We're going to look at them more in depth in a minute, but I want you to think about which ones resonate with you the most, and then go ahead and click on the ones that you feel affect you the most. So we'll give you a minute.
And you can choose multiple as well. Give you about 10 more seconds. Great, thank you all. Honestly, a lot of the choices that we've had here today really resonate a lot with myself included. Income gap due to gender is our top response. Second is outliving spouse. And lack of confidence, financial education. Thank you all so much for participating.
All right, thank you so much, Missy. Let's take a closer look. Whoop. Bear with me, or sometimes there's some technical problems. All right, let's take a closer look at some of the challenges that we've just talked about. Women have longer life expectancies. On average, we live 5 years longer than men. That means our retirement dollars need to go further. It also means that we're going to have to figure out what to do with our estate when we pass away. These are important decisions to consider, and we are also more likely to have healthcare costs and to need long-term care. So once again, these are important things that we have to consider when we're figuring out our financial future. While unfortunate and not always openly discussed, it is true that women generally earn less. Here we can see how some of the key aspects of earning less income affects a woman's retirement and can set her back significantly. Women who work full-time earn 82% of what men earn. Earning less impacts savings, Social Security, retirement benefits, and pensions. We are also more likely to be affected by unexpected economic obstacles like job loss, divorce, single parenthood, illness, and even loss of a spouse. All of these things could affect you financially and in retirement. As we've already talked about, women are more likely to take career breaks for caregiving. And this means this can be caring for children, aging parents. We can even see, how it could potentially disrupt our overall financial and career-related well-being. When we take time off, we lose income and we also lose employer benefits. When we take a break from working, there's a good chance that we might end up with lower Social Security retirement benefits. We become more economically at risk in the event of divorce, or if we lose, or if our spouse loses their job. And when we go back into the workforce, it might be hard to find a comparable job. So these are some of the things that we face. Based on all of that, we know that we need to invest and we need to start saving for retirement. One thing research has found is that women tend to invest too conservatively. The investing industry was built by men, for men, which means it's supposedly gender neutral tools for our failing women. And like I mentioned earlier, women tend to be more risk adverse. We often leave more money in cash and we just kind of shy away from investments. Here you can see some potential consequences when women invest too conservatively. Not enough for retirement, and then losing purchasing power due to inflation. So bottom line, women retire with 2/3 as much money, but live longer lives on average than men. How do we close that gap? We're going to start by saying there's no one size fits all when it comes to investing for the future. Some of us are at a point in our lives where we need to focus on investing in our 401k or 403b. Some of us are at a point where we are ready to set up investment accounts. And some of us are ready to start looking at how Social Security fits into our retirement plan. Planning and forward thinking are essential when it comes to our financial future. We have another poll here today just to see how you think about how confident you are today in your financial roadmap. So think about how you feel about your current cash flow, your spending habits, your savings, your investments, and your savings towards retirement. All of these are part of your roadmap. I'm going to turn it over to Missy, but just take a minute and think about where you are today, and then click the box on the poll that represents you.
I'll give you all a few minutes to answer the poll. Getting a lot of good interaction here, and it was neck and neck for a little while. All right, thank you all so much for participating. I am somewhat confident is at 63%, followed closely by no, I would benefit from some guidance at 38%.
All right. All right, keeping in mind that the future planning is in almost all cases massively beneficial, it is important to take charge of your financial future. So now that you have a sense of where you are, here are 6 things you can do to implement this idea into your financial well-being. Take control of your money, become a knowledgeable investor, advocate for yourself in the workplace, plan for retirement, protect your income and assets, and create an estate plan. So on the next few slides, we're going to take a deeper dive into each topic so you can see how it fits into your own situation. Let's start with taking control of your money. Take control of your money. Taking control of your money is one of the most empowering weapons in your financial arsenal. Doing so responsibly will allow you to move forward toward achieving your goals. So let's take a look at some ideas to help you take control. First of all, realize you have responsibility for your financial well-being. Taking control and taking responsibility go hand in hand, and each will empower your success. Know your cash flow. You don't need a CPA to do this. It's just simply keeping track of your income and expenses while considering inflation and income growth. And then once you know your cash flow, establish a positive cash flow by budgeting debt. The goal should always be to live within your means. So if you feel like you're struggling, create a budget. And one of the easiest ways to create a budget is to just get 2 months worth of credit card or bank statements, put every item into a category. For example, let's say you spend $30 at Chili's, put it into the dining out category. $50 for a vet bill, put it into animal expense. $5.99 for a Hulu subscription, put it into the subscription category. You create your own categories, but it's important to make sure every item has a category. It's also important to track your expenses for at least 2 months, because this will give you a basic idea of your expenses. Then doing this will help you understand your cash flow. Remember, cash flow is just money coming in minus money going out. All right, once you have your cash flow figured out, create an emergency fund. You almost never know when or why you're going to need it, but you'll be glad that you have it when the time comes. An example was during the pandemic when many people lost their jobs. The people that had emergency funds, that helped get them through. And an emergency fund, it's just usually a 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up into just a regular savings account. So have that emergency fund, know your cash flow. Then what? Set your goals. Set your clear financial goals. It's unlikely that you'll get where you want to get when the goal is unclear. So take some time to consider your financial goals and why they make sense, and then commit your efforts to attaining those goals. It doesn't have to be just retirement. It can be saving for a house, saving for a European vacation, but the key is to create your goals and then figure out how to financially achieve them. And as mentioned earlier, it is often just a lack of financial education that holds back not only women, but many people. The good news is that we have information at our fingertips. For example, if you want to know what a Roth is, you can Google it. There are many books about investing, or you can seek out a financial advisor. So with the help of the internet, books, or financial experts, you can become a more knowledgeable investor. We actually have some fundamental concepts for investors separated into 2 different categories, just starting out and more experienced. So these guidelines will help you toward a more robust understanding of investing overall. If you are just starting out, get some basic information. Find out how to get higher interest rates on your savings account. Look at your options in your 401k. Learn about a Roth or a traditional IRA. Take small steps and then learn as you go, but don't postpone getting started. I hear from people all the time in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that they wish they'd started earlier. You are here with us today because being empowered financially is important to you. So start now and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So once you're more comfortable, move on to the more experienced section. Align your portfolio with your goals, your time horizons, your risk tolerance. Look for ways to manage risk, diversify. There are many investment options possible. So how do you manage your risk, but still get the returns you want? Understand what you own and keep an eye out for investing ideas. Consider taxes, fees, inflation, and don't be afraid to make adjustments. And have a game plan for volatile markets. That's what we are in right now. So have a game plan. All right. Now that you have a better idea of how to increase your knowledge of investing, let's look at the workplace. It's sometimes said that no one knows you better than yourself. So with this in mind, it's important to advocate for yourself in the workplace. Be a careful and considerate mentor towards yourself, as only you know what your ultimate goals are. Once your goals are set and you are committed to them, solutions to reaching your goals will continue to present themselves. So as long as you stay firm to your commitments, you'll achieve your goals. Here we have a list of ways to advocate for yourself, all right? One of the key things is to negotiate your starting salary when you get a new job. The higher the salary, the more money you have to save and to invest now. So remember, salary is the foundation to your benefits. Research ongoing salaries. What are people getting paid in your position? Ways to increase your salary or your position is just to take challenges, challenging assignments at work, speaking up about your accomplishments. Remember, you are your best advocate. And finally, plan for retirement. Save as much as you can. Commit yourself to a certain percentage of savings per paycheck. Start with 5%. See how it goes. Increase it a couple of percentages every year. But the key is to start. And then make sure you've joined your company's 401k or 403b. And make sure you get the match. If the company matches 3%, put in at least 3% of your salary. Their match is free money for you toward retirement. See if your company has a Roth option or an after-tax option. Consider opening an individual retirement account, otherwise known as an IRA. There are different types, including traditional or Roth IRAs, so educate yourself to see which one is better for you. Set savings goals. Remember, not all of your investments need to be for retirement. So set up investments that you can access sooner if you need them. And don't forget about Social Security. It is the third leg in a three-legged stool for a retirement portfolio. It's not really designed to be your total income when you retire. So you need to make sure you're saving in other ways. If you currently work, and be careful, if you currently work at a job where you do not pay into Social Security, make sure you understand your company's retirement benefits because your Social Security might be greatly reduced when you retire. All right, so the goal is to invest in the future that you want. Remember, money is more than just money. It is the power to live the lives we want. All right, I'm going to go turn it over to Missy and see if we have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions over the things that we've discussed today? Does anybody have any financial goals unrelated to retirement that they're looking at? Oh, here's a good question. Any book recommendations to start learning about investing?
You know, one that I liked was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, you know, maybe isn't for everybody, but one thing he talks about is that the different types of investments and how he really took his investments and went from, he did real estate and then he took the gains from real estate and then he went into the stock market and then he took the gains, and how he kind of navigated it back and forth and just how he used the expertise around him to help him be successful. I think that's a really good book. Also, there's I can't think of the title, but I'll see if I can put it out there. It's a book from I want to say his last name's Graham, but he just talks about stay in it for the long haul. Definitely, when you invest your money, don't do it just to get in and out. And women do that so much better than men, where we actually go in and we make that investment and we know that we're in it. And that's why we're more successful. Men tend to move their money around too quickly. So hopefully that helps. Any other questions? And it's a good question.
We have another question. What is your favorite type of retirement account?
That's a great question. They both have, they have their different places. A Roth is a great investment if you make the income levels because it grows tax-free. So it's one of the only investments that's almost like a tax shelter. Any gains, you'll get tax-free. So that's really a great one. If you are trying to, if you're self-employed though, and you need a tax break, then I would say just a traditional, because you save on the taxes now and it brings down your income when it comes to paying taxes. So they both have their strategies. I would recommend that you would look at your job. If you have a 401k, do check for the Roth options, because that one really grows tax-free, which is a huge benefit. We don't know what the taxes are going to be when we retire, so it's helpful to not have to worry about it.
Great questions. Anyone else have any questions? Looks like we got them all answered.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And I want to tell you, you and your financial future are important, and we're here to help you. You're here because you believe and you want to move forward on your financial roadmap. Just for attending the webinar today, we're offering you one of three options just to help you move forward and take the next step in your journey. Some of you are at the point where you just need help trying to figure out your 401k, how to optimize it, 401k, 403b, or just help understanding your company's retirement benefits. And if that's something where you feel that you are, at the end of this, there'll be a survey and you can pick which one is important to you. But this is what we're offering just to help you get started. Some of you are getting closer to retirement and you could use help just understanding your Social Security benefits. Social Security actually is one of the few things that's guaranteed. And so you don't want to overlook it. And also some of you, you've had different jobs, you have these 401ks sitting out there and you just don't know what to do with them. So figure out where you are, what would be beneficial to you. And at the end of our webinar today, you'll have that option to pick which one you would like help with. So
we have one more question, and it's a great one. Can I add money to both Roth and traditional IRA in the same year?
Great question. So depending on your age, if you are under 50, you can put in 6,000 total. So you could do 3,000 in a Roth, you could do 3,000 in a traditional, but you can't go past 6,000. You could put 6,000 in a Roth, nothing in the traditional, or vice versa. So together, you can only have 6,000. If you are over 50, then it would be 7,000. So you get an extra, it's like a catch up. So you get an extra amount. Great question. Any other questions before we let you all go finish your workday today?
Those were really good questions.
Great questions.
I'm not seeing it. Oh. What is the average percentage of income that people invest?
15%. That's, you know, I say that's the average. That's probably not the average. That would be the goal. So if what we suggest as advisors is to try and get to that 15% of your income. And the reason I'm saying it's not average is because if you looked at the average income, it's probably not as high as you think. And a lot of people are just trying to survive. So if you can put in $50 a month, it will grow over time. But if you can do it, if you can get to that 15% mark, then you're really doing well. And one thing I will tell you, start now, because they talk about the 7 wonders of the world. I can tell you the 8th wonder of the world is compounded interest. And when you start, it will compound and it will keep growing and growing. So I can't say enough. The key is to start, and it's to start now.
We've had some really great questions. Oh, I think we have one more.
Perfect.
How do I know how much money I need to have saved to retire?
That's it. You know what? That's another great question. These are the things that there's so many people say you need $1 million or whatever. Part of it's going to depend on your age and when you plan to retire. So if you are going to work until you're 70 and you have 20 years, then, maybe $1 million or maybe 500,000 would be fine. It depends on how you want to live and when you want to retire and how many years you have left. And that's part of the reason Social Security is important. It sounds crazy, but Social Security, if you can at least wait until your full retirement age, Social Security actually is guaranteed. Like the market's going down right now. I think you're all probably aware that the market has dropped since January and it's negative. So everybody's hanging on to their investments, not quite knowing what to do. Social Security is just doing its thing. It doesn't drop when the market drops. So keep that in mind. If you're younger, yeah, you will have Social Security. We don't know what you'll still have it. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, but maybe put more in. And just on a side note, they call it a 4% rule. Have enough saved that you can take 4% every year and your money won't drop. So I know that was a vague answer and I apologize. There's just so many factors. And that's why, like, as advisors, we look at each person individually because there isn't a set number. So hopefully that kind of helps.
Great
Other
question.
questions. These are great questions. And this is the time, just to go ahead and ask.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any questions? All right, looks like we got through those.
And once again, we so appreciate your time today. We do think you're important and we think that your future is important. And we want to help you get there. We want to help you get started. So if you have further questions, this is ways to contact us. Definitely reach out. And please, like I said, don't forget to do the survey at the end. Missy, anything else?
I just want to thank everyone for attending today and sticking it through all the way to the end. I think there's a lot of great information, and I truly appreciate you all taking time to attend today.
All right. Thanks you so much. You guys have a great rest of the day.
Yes, thank you so much.